The starlit night sky so deep, your gentle heart soft current sweep, silent scenes you sketch from out the pain, worn hues that wrap the world again. On fields of gold the dancing wheat, born on breezes where hope and winds meet, and irises smile at your fingertips blooms, a sunflower reflecting the sunlit rooms. Now I know what you long to impart. You love the world in silence from the heart. With quiet strokes you spoke of dreams, harboring tender faith no one had seen. Softly yet steadfast to the end. Upon a canvas filled with starry glow, the swirling sky begins to show a gentle smile, and every hue you left behind becomes today a beacon in our mind. In moments when your painting paused time's race, the world held its breath in that tranquil space, our quiet hearts following your gentle trace, learn once again to find our grace. Now I feel what you wished to convey, that love remains in silence yet holds sway. Though once the world knew not your light, we now abide within that love tonight. And here we stand before your art's embrace. Your love has reached us, Vincent.
Hello, welcome to this place. I am Vincent van Gogh. First, I would like to tell you a personal story about myself. I was born on March 30th, 1853, in a very small village, called Hout in the Brabant region of the south of the Netherlands. The village was quiet, the fields were wide, and the seasons were vivid to the point of honesty. My father was a Protestant pastor, and my mother loved flowers and still lifes. At first glance, it was a warm family, but the beginning of my life may have been marked by tragedy and confusion. Before I was born, I had an older brother, who was born exactly 1 year before me. However, he passed away shortly after his birth, and my parents passed his name back to me. That is why my name was Vincent, and in the church cemetery I visited on the day I was born, there was already a gravestone with my name inscribed on it. My living brother and my deceased brother existed in the same village with the same name. Whenever I looked at that gravestone as a child, I was overcome with inexplicable emotions. The questions, who am I? Is my life mine? Do I deserve to be in this world? Seeped deep into my heart as a child. Perhaps this existential anxiety followed me throughout my life, deeply influencing my art, loneliness, and even the way I held my brush. The house I grew up in was pious, but my emotions were raw. My father's sermons were refined, and my mother was neat. But I was confused. I didn't get along with my peers, and I didn't laugh much. The time I spent alone in nature was the most comforting for me, and I liked to stare blankly out the window on rainy days and fall into the shadows. I was more sensitive to the dark side of the world than the bright side, and when I saw flowers, I would first feel the loneliness of their withering rather than their beauty. The only person who understood me was my younger brother Theo. Theo was 5 years younger than me, but his heart was warmer and more delicate than anyone else's. He listened to me, and sometimes, even without saying anything, his presence alone comforted me. The walks, letters, and glances we shared together gave me the strength to overcome the many confusions and loneliness inside me. Before moving on to the next story, I would like to share with you a song created by AI by analyzing one of your favorite paintings, Starry Night.
swirling sapphire night. Starlight twirls in gentle grace, breaths of life in slumbering town, soft beams drifting through dreams' embrace. In the silent dark the trees confide, reaching upward toward the sky. Between hope's glow and shadowed fear, souls seek where light and darkness lie. Moonlight wraps the world in hush, far off stars illuming roads untrod. A lonely heart beneath the heavens melts its solitude in cosmic nod. The spirals turn, knows no respite. Time drifts on in tender flow. At longing's edge, the distant stars compose the tales our hearts bestow. Whispers of wind upon the brush, where light and shadow dance as one. A tiny world in vast expanse sings with starlit canvas spun.
Even as an adult, I wandered around without finding my place. I worked as a bookstore clerk and an art dealer, but my heart was always empty. I moved to countless places: the streets of Paris, France, a boarding house in London, a ranch in the Netherlands, but none of them felt like my place. People called me strange, a person who was hard to get along with, and I was constantly hurt in my relationships with them. I failed in love and couldn't adapt to work. I tried to convert to faith and worked as a missionary in a Belgian mining town. But even there, I caused problems because of my excessive passion and devotion. But ironically, it was there that I saw human suffering and true life. The eyes of the miners, the roughness of their hands, the starving children, the darkness of the cold underground tunnels. He felt a strong truth in all those scenes, and I was seized by the desire to capture it. That's when I started to pick up the brush. At first, I was clumsy, and no one recognized my paintings. But I didn't give up. When I picked up the brush, I felt alive for the first time. And I felt a sense of liberation, as if my emotions were pouring out from the tip of the brush. I had never received formal education and my technique was inexperienced, but more importantly, it was my way of looking at the world. I saw things through emotions and tried to find light in pain. When I painted nature, I tried to capture the vitality and loneliness within it at the same time. And when I painted people, I tried to portray the inner self beyond the face. At first, my parents did not understand my paintings, and were sometimes embarrassed by them. My father wanted me to study theology again, but now I felt that art was my only faith. My mother never accepted my work, but despite that, I painted countless flowers that she loved. Maybe that was the only way I could convey my love to her. And Theo was always by my side. He helped me not to give up painting, sent me money for living expenses in Paris, France, and worked tirelessly to make my work known to the world. I have always lived in debt to Theo, and if it weren't for his trust, I might have broken my brush and disappeared from the world. That's how I became a painter. Not the path the world wanted, but the path my soul commanded. I held the brush despite countless loneliness and misunderstandings, and filled hundreds of canvases to leave behind who I am and how I love this world. Although the path was a thorny path, I have no regrets because I was sincere at every moment. The brush was my confession, and the canvas was my tears. And at the end of all that journey, I believed in one thing: sincerity can reach someday. This time, the specially planned and prepared AI exhibition concert will select the most beloved paintings, play songs, and then I hope to increase your understanding of my paintings through the AI docent. After introducing 2 paintings, I will repeat the method of telling personal stories again.
Under golden light, soft voices speak. Warmth drifts across the terrace's peak. Footsteps skim the cobbled way at night, yet darkness flows with tender silent might. Beneath the stars, a hushed and tranquil street. Yellow lamps enfold hearts in warmth so sweet. Far down the road, where shadows cast their spell, solitude and comfort dance and dwell. Shadows trembling on the window pane. Lamplight bids the passing moments stay. From street's end drifts whispers in the dark. The restless city pens its timeless arc. On table lie small laughter's fading glow. Faint memories in lanterns light bestow. Even as I glance at midnight sky above, stars guide the way with ever quiet love. Beneath the lamps, a cup of solace warms. Among the crowd, soft havens take their form. Though night will pass, the lights that linger on shall dwell within our lives when dawn is gone.
I would like to tell you the story of my heart that draws. I have never been able to speak loudly, but when I stand in front of a canvas with a brush, I could have the most sincere conversation with the whole world. Painting was my life, and at the same time, my prayer. People would sometimes ask, "Mr. Van Gogh, why are you so obsessed with painting?" But for me, it was not an obsession, but a way of survival. When the world turned away from me, painting embraced me. Only when I held a brush, I could confirm that I existed in the world. Painting was air to me, the sound of my heart beating. If I didn't paint, I felt suffocated and couldn't feel alive. What I wanted was neither splendid fame nor wealth. I just wanted to live a day when I can paint the paintings I love. If someone saw my paintings, stopped for a moment, and reflected their own hearts in them, that was enough. That's how I wanted to talk to the world in a quiet way. I breathed with my brush. My life in paintings can be largely divided into 5 periods based on the places I lived. The period in Noonan, the Netherlands, when I first started painting. The period in Montmartre, Paris, France. The period in Arles, southern France. The period in the Saint Remy de Maussoley Sanatorium, where I chose to heal myself after suffering a self-harm incident due to conflict with a client. And the last period in Auvers-sur-Oise, a rural area in northern France, where I lived after being discharged from a mental hospital. This time, I will tell you a song and a docent about the paintings of potato eaters in the cottage that I painted during my Noonan period.
Beneath the dim lamps flicker in the room, rough hands pass down a potato's warmth. In silent gazes of exhausted souls, a tender quiet in between takes form. At day's end steeped in earthy fragrance, gathered round a humble, modest board. Though light may falter, hearts shine never bright. Simple lives write stories in a chord. Wrinkled palms enfold the weight of time. Under lamp's soft whisper comes the eve, filled by one another's presence here. Life flows onward in its gentle weave, like sunlight swallowed by the dark outside. Night arrives in peaceful, hushed repose. Shared glow at day's toil-worn finale. Our tale endures in every tender rose. In this small room, life's fragrance all around, like warmth contained in just one potato slice. Today again we share this precious light, and greet tomorrow's dawn with hearts concise.
Painting analysis. Color palette. Dark browns, greens, and grays dominate the painting, while warm tans and yellows are highlighted under the lamplight. The colors are restrained, and the limited light from the lamp creates a strong contrast with the dark background and focuses on the figures. Texture. Rough brushstrokes and thick impasto techniques vividly convey the faces and hands of the figures and the rough and simple living environment of the background. The wrinkled and rough hands and faces realistically show traces of the farmer's hard life. Composition. 5 figures are arranged in a circle around the lamplight, and their gazes and body directions are focused on the center, forming the center of the painting. The interaction of the figures and their simple meal give the audience a sense of intimacy as if they were invited into their daily lives. Direction and intensity of light. Light spreads softly from the central lamplight and focuses on illuminating the faces and hands of the figures. The lighting is weak and limited overall, but it gives the scene a calm and warm atmosphere. Time zone and season. Judging by the darkness outside the window and the lamplight inside, it seems to be late evening, and the season is likely to be cold winter. Painter's intention and emotion. Painter's intention. Through the potato eaters, Van Gogh did not simply paint a portrait of farmers, but rather explored the values of labor, survival, and simple daily life. The figures in the painting gather after a hard day's work to share potatoes, sharing each other's existence and a simple meal. Their faces are rough and wrinkled, but they contain the power of survival through labor and human dignity. Through this, the artist tried to respect the lives of the marginalized peasant class at the time and emphasize the unique beauty of their daily lives. This work conveys simple yet deep emotions. Even in a scene where traces of a hard life can be felt, the simple warmth of a dinner with family can be seen. The contrast of light and darkness reveals the comfort that comes from sharing moments with each other even in difficult lives. Emotional storytelling. In a dark room, a lamp placed in the middle emits soft light. This light gently illuminates the faces and hands of 5 people, creating a warm moment to end their day. The hands are rough, but they gather together to pick up potatoes and pass them to each other. Even without much conversation, they feel each other's presence and share a small meal. Their wrinkled faces speak of the weight of their hard lives, but inside they contain the pride of those who have endured the day silently. The hands that worked all day touching the soil now share potatoes. This simple meal means more than just food to them. It is a solidarity of survival shared with family, and a small ritual that continues their lives. The darkness deepens beyond the window, but the lamp in the room does not go out. This small light illuminates the center of a simple life and speaks of the preciousness of moments spent together. They will live the same day tomorrow, but the memories they shared at this table today will remain for a long time. This scene says that the light and warmth shared at a simple table can have a deeper and more profound meaning than any extravagant feast.
The evening sky is heavy with rain. The wind breathes in the day's refrain. A single light in a cottage so small warms the heart and quiets all. Walls of earth shaped by worn hands, holding years no one understands, but still that house has always stood, a flame unshaken through the wood. Behind the door an old soul stands, time slips by like drifting sands. Her silent labor day by day holds peace that never fades away. Black smoke rises into the air like whispered prayers floating there. Though life inside is dim and slight, the truest things still burn with light. The trees are bare, the branches bend, but roots remain and never end. So to the house, so to her soul, unseen but strong, still whole. This place may never shine or gleam, yet holds within the deepest dream. Beneath the roof so small and still, hope survives with quiet will.
The cottage. Analysis of the painting. Color palette. The painting is mainly composed of dark earth tones such as dark brown, dark green, and gray close to black, and the yellow-brown earth and pale orange sunset convey a subtle warmth in the darkness. The overall dark colors give the painting a sense of weight and seriousness. Texture. The brush strokes are soft and restrained, emphasizing the realistic depiction characteristic of his early works. The texture of the roof, the worn feel of the mud wall, and even the desolate trees are expressed naturally, with delicate textures. Color and material analysis. Van Gogh's impasto technique is not yet clearly evident, and the color treatment is faithful to the traditional use of oil painting. The minimal use of light emphasizes the contrast between the light and dark inside and outside, highlighting the presence of the characters and buildings. Analysis of the artist's behavior. Van Gogh had awe and sympathy for the lives of peasants during this period, and in this work, instead of extravagance or dramatic scenes, he honestly portrayed the simple and heavy reality of life. The characters and background are arranged without dramatic staging, with the gaze of a natural and quiet observer. Composition. A dark-roofed cottage is located in the center of the screen, and the character stands facing the left window. The composition is stable and emphasizes horizontal balance, creating an overall calm and static atmosphere. Direction and intensity of light. The sunlight has almost disappeared, and only a hazy sunset remains in the sky. The dim indoor lights are the only light source, quietly emphasizing the characters and the cottage. The light is restrained, quietly evoking emotion and atmosphere. Time of day and season. It appears to be evening when the sun has set and darkness has begun to fall, and judging by the landscape with almost no leaves, it is presumed to be late autumn or early winter. It is a moment when both nature and humans prepare for a long day of rest. Artist's intention and emotion. The cottage is one of Van Gogh's representative early works, painted with deep affection for the lives of farmers during his time in Nuenen, Netherlands. During this period, Van Gogh focused on depicting realistic labor, suffering, and the dignity within it, rather than using flashy colors or symbols. In this painting, the cottage is not just an old house. It is a space that has endured the hardships of life, a most human place. Van Gogh chose this cottage as a symbol of a life that is not heroic. This house has a low ceiling, a worn roof, and shabby walls, but inside there is light and people. It is the artist's gaze that wants to convey the truth that life goes on even in poverty and loneliness, and that warmth always blooms in the smallest of places. Even in the midst of dark skies, bare trees, and silent colors, the scene of a female figure standing inside the house is not a dramatic event, but a cross-section of life. Van Gogh found a special poetic emotion in depicting this everyday life, and he wanted to convey that quiet sadness and dignity to the viewer. His brush says, "Beauty is not always in a place that shines. The lives of those who protect the light in the darkness are the most sublime." This work is a record of the moment when Van Gogh wanted to embrace reality warmly through art. Emotional storytelling. On a windy evening, the sunlight slowly sank below the horizon. At the edge of the village, an old hut stood low to the ground. The roof was covered with time, and the walls were supported by hard hands. A woman stood quietly in front of the hut. She looked into the window silently and checked a single flickering light inside. It was a small, warm sign that announced the end of the day. It was a small light of peace that bloomed every night even in a rough life. The outside is dreary and quiet, but inside there is breathing and warmth. Someone is baking bread inside, and someone else is putting their child to sleep and comforting them for the day. The world does not recognize it, but someone is silently supporting life in this small house. The painting is silent, but the heart resonates. The woman feels grateful that she has a home to return to today as well. Life does not end even when the day ends. In that darkness, the strongest light was burning like silence.
Did you enjoy it? My life was a series of suffering, depression, anxiety, poverty, mental illness, but even in that suffering, I believed that the world held splendid beauty. The sun of Arles, the lilacs of Provence, the golden waves of wheat fields, the stars that enveloped the night sky, all of that nature came to me silently and comforted me, saying, "It's okay." That's why I was even more overwhelmed by a sense of mission, to record that beauty. The starry night I painted is not just a landscape painting. It was an answer to the times when I cried every night under the covers. The night was lonely and scary, but it contained the belief that there was definitely light in it. Through my paintings, I did not hide my suffering, but rather tried to reach a greater truth by revealing it. There is no life without suffering, so I painted light in suffering. This time, we will listen to a song and a docent, about a still life painting of the Montmartre Hill in Paris, and oleanders painted during the Montmartre period in Paris, France.
a sky of softened gray. A quiet breeze drifts through my day. Beyond the fence, small lives unfold and wrap me in a peace untold. The blades of grass enduring still, while light caresses them at will. Within a world there nearly slows a garden deep within me grows. The city breathes beyond the hill, with dreams that rise and time to fill. I watch it all with silent eyes and paint my thoughts like evening skies. In unseen moments, warmth appears, the quiet strength that calms my fears. Even the hush of trees and air can hold me in their gentle care. Though every road feels long and steep, there's sunlight waiting where it sleeps. This pause, this breath beneath the blue becomes a gift, both deep and true. Perhaps this life is meant to be a blend of sky and heart and tree. Without a word, time speaks so kind, and in that hush I come to find
Montmartre behind the Moulin de la Galette. Analysis of the painting. Color palette. The pastel color scheme is centered around a soft gray sky, light blue and light green cityscape, and various green plants and light yellow roads. The overall calm yet warm color scheme is impressive. Texture. The brush strokes are fast and consistent, with gentle movements. In particular, the short and consistent brush strokes characteristic of Van Gogh are repeated in the depiction of grass and trees, giving a living texture. Color and material analysis. The softness and depth characteristic of oil painting are felt, and the entire painting maintains a bright tone, giving a feeling of openness. The buildings, fences, and plants of the city each have their own distinct colors, but are in harmony with each other. Analysis of the artist's actions. Van Gogh was deeply influenced by Impressionism during this period, and sought to explore natural light and the everyday life of the city. The brushstrokes are not violent, but are arranged softly and harmoniously, revealing his attitude of seeking peace at the border between the city and nature. Composition. In the foreground are fences and gardens, in the middle are small pavilions or greenhouse structures, and in the background are the city and hills. The path and fence naturally lead the gaze from the center to the cityscape in the distance, providing a horizontally expanded view. Direction and intensity of light. The light is softly spread in the cloudy sky, and is depicted as diffused light rather than strong direct light. This creates a soft and peaceful atmosphere throughout the painting, and the shadows are also long, giving a sense of stability. Time of day and season. Judging by the lush vegetation and long shadows on the path, it is estimated to be late afternoon in late spring or early summer. This is a time when life is fully alive but remains quiet in itself. Artist's intention and emotion. Montmartre, Behind the Moulin de la Galette is a work that records the quiet moment that Van Gogh found on the hill of Montmartre, away from the noise of the city. In this landscape, he painted a scene where humans and nature, cities and gardens are in harmony, and it contains the meaning of small peace and contemplation in life. This work, where the civilization of the city and nature of the garden coexist, shows that Van Gogh went beyond simply depicting beauty to express a place where the heart dwells. Through his paintings, he captured the quiet moments of life that still exist even in complex reality. The fence signifies a boundary, but is also open, preventing the city and nature from being completely separated. It seems to be a device that metaphorically represents Van Gogh's own attitude toward life, the appearance of a human who longs for peace even in his intense inner self. Emotional storytelling. One afternoon in late spring, the sky was clouded in a calm gray. The sunlight was not strong, but it warmly embraced the leaves in the small garden. The city beyond the fence was breathing in the distance, and the houses were quietly in their place. A man was sitting in front of the landscape. He silently picked up his brush and breathed life into each blade of grass. Beyond the shoulders of the great city, he found peace. It was a quiet haven in a noisy world. The road winds, but he is not afraid. Even if he does not know what lies at the end, this scenery is enough for him. Shadow and light, earth and sky, fence and city, everything is in exquisite balance, taking its last breath of the day. He painted today, and the world quietly bloomed once again.
Sunlight spilled across the table's face. The flowers bow with quiet grace. I sit beside them still and slow, and watch a gentle morning grow. Beside a book, the hours lie, soft whispers breathing with a sigh. Between the blooms so unaware, a hush of peace floats through the air. From dust and soil the scent arose. The truest light is what's most close. Just gazing here I clearly see how beautiful the world can be. The winds have paused, the world stands still. My trembling heart bends to its will. The shadows of a heavy day now softly melt and drift away. Though days have come that broke me down, at every end spring can be found. I bloom again, quiet and true, like this small still life in my view. From dust and soil the scent arose. The truest light is what's most close. Just gazing here I clearly see how beautiful the world can be. The winds have paused, the world stands still. My trembling heart bends to its will. The shadows of a heavy day now softly melt and drift away. Hope doesn't shout, it softly speaks. Life isn't forced, it waits and seeks. Even a life that doesn't shine can still be full of light, like mine. From dust and soil the scent arose. The truest light is what's most close. Just gazing here I clearly see how beautiful the world can be. The winds have paused, the world stands still. My trembling heart bends to its will. The shadows of a heavy day now softly melt and drift away.
Still life with oleander. Analysis of the painting. Color palette. The lime green background and pink and ivory oleander flowers form the main colors, while the deep green leaves and blue-green water bottle provide contrast. The book is in bright yellow, symbolizing warmth and intelligence. Texture. Van Gogh's characteristic rough brushstrokes are alive, and the petals are expressed softly and delicately, while the background and table are expressed with thick and firm brushstrokes. The brushstrokes are alive, making the painting visually and tactilely tangible. Color and material analysis. The thick texture of oil paints is preserved as is, emphasizing the emotion of the color itself. The combination of the lime green background and yellow book creates a warm and calm atmosphere like the sunlight of a spring afternoon. Analysis of the artist's behavior. This work contains a firm affirmation of inner life even in calm brushstrokes. It is filled with calm energy rather than passionate emotions, so we can guess that Van Gogh painted it while experiencing a moment of peace. Composition. The vase is located in the center right of the screen, and the line of sight naturally flows to the flowers flowing to the left. The book gives weight to the lower left, and balances the entire screen. The composition of the flowers, book, water bottle, and table delivers a simple but clear message. Direction and intensity of light. The light comes in softly from the upper left, and acts to brighten the color rather than emphasize light and dark. Overall, the lighting is soft and stable. Time of day and season. Judging by the light green background and the fully bloomed oleander, it seems to depict late spring or early summer midday. It is a time of quiet stay at the peak of life. Artist's intention and emotion. Still Life with Oleander was a work painted by Van Gogh during a peaceful and organized period. Here, he wanted to portray the harmony of the vitality of nature and intellectual thought. The oleander in the screen is not a simple plant, but symbolizes the will to live and the continuation of beauty. The book is a novel by the author Émile Zola, and it shows that Van Gogh was deeply absorbed in literature and philosophy. In other words, this painting is a work that contains the coexistence of nature and intellect, emotion and thought. While depicting the strong vitality of the oleander, he painted it with the feeling of sitting at a table and quietly contemplating it. The neat lines and colors, rather than rough brushstrokes, imply that Van Gogh's emotions were stable. Through this painting, Van Gogh seems to have conveyed the message that art and nature are friends that restore the heart. His philosophy was let's draw life even in pain. This oleander is a plant that blooms in any harsh conditions, and like his life, it is strong yet delicate. This painting is a still life of hope, and contains the belief that beauty can exist even in trials. Emotional storytelling. On an afternoon when the sunlight has quietly descended, the author looks at a vase of flowers on the windowsill. The oleander flowers are in full bloom, quietly breathing between the leaves. Next to it, an unopened book, a sentence of thought that has not yet been read, rests. Van Gogh rests his heart in this small scene. The flower does not say anything, but its existence alone tells a sufficient story. It is a story of being alive, of the will to bloom, and of embracing the peace of the day. Even the shadows on the table are drawn as if they were part of a warm moment. In this quiet still life, we learn something. That the heart is moved without a sound, that the life before our eyes can be a more poetic moment than literature. The flowers wither and the book closes, but this scene remains for a long time. That life is so splendid, and that sometimes silence is enough.
Did you like the works you saw this time? The subject I loved first was the lives of working people, their hands, sweat, tables, expressions, and daily lives, filled with the weight of survival, were great to me, especially when I was drawing the potato eaters. I discovered human dignity shining in that dark room. Through the painting, I wanted to say, look here, this life that you turn away from, how beautiful and sublime is it? This world despises labor, but I wanted to respect that labor through my paintings. It also touched my faith, because I believed that God would dwell in the hands and sweat of people, rather than in a splendid cathedral. I love the root of life, human labor. This time, I will tell you a song and a docent about the paintings, Sunflowers, Café Terrace at Night, and Starry Night on the Rhone River, that I painted during my time in Arles, France.
In vases sunflowers were, and
sway. They drink the gold of sunlight's ray. Even fading leaves in quiet decay show a beauty time cannot aid. Through waves of yellow, life ascends. Petals whisper where the light extends. This tiny vase with heat contends, yet endless hope within transcends. Full blaze blooms lift eyes to the skies. Some bowed in thought, yet stories rise. In fleeting hours of warm sunrise, all were once bright before our eyes. Full blaze blooms lift eyes to the skies. Some bowed in thought, yet stories rise. In fleeting hours of warm sunrise, all were once bright before our eyes. Rough brushstrokes breathe fragments of air. The painter's heart trails light with care. Between life's hush and shadows there, yellow dreams dance in painter's lair. Summer sunshine lingers in the frame. Sunflowers recall their radiant flame. The breeze embraced in this tiny domain reminds us all we live in its name. Full blaze blooms lift eyes to the skies. Some bowed in thought, yet stories rise. In fleeting hours of warm sunrise, all were once bright before our eyes.
Analysis of the painting. Color palette. The deep golden and warm yellow colors dominate, while light brown and green add liveliness to the stems and petals of the sunflower. The background is also filled with warm yellow, livening up the entire canvas and symbolizing the warmth of sunlight. Texture. The rough and prominent oil brush strokes vividly express the petals and seed centers of the sunflower. Each flower is distinctly depicted with a thick texture, while the vase and background have a relatively soft and smooth texture, creating a contrast. Color and material analysis. Van Gogh used various tones of yellow to emphasize the vitality of the sunflower. The artist's impasto technique emphasizes texture and expresses the richness of the sunflower. The background, vase, and sunflower share the same color tone, giving the work a sense of unity. Analysis of the artist's actions. This work seems to be an attempt to capture the passion and inspiration the artist felt in nature, rather than simply painting flowers. The repetitive and concentrated brushstrokes convey the energy of the sunflower, giving each flower an independent individuality. Composition. The sunflowers in the vase are placed in the center of the screen, forming a stable yet dynamic composition. The flowers stretch out in various directions, allowing us to feel natural movement and freedom. Direction and intensity of light. The light is soft and evenly distributed throughout, further highlighting the rich colors of the sunflowers. Although the intensity of the light is not strong, the warm tones of the sunflowers give off a sense of vitality and bright energy. Time zone and season. Judging by the yellow and abundant appearance of the sunflowers, it seems to have captured the moment when they fully bloomed under the warm summer sunlight. The artist's intention. Van Gogh attempted to convey the meaning of vitality, hope, and hospitality through the sunflower series. This painting is more than just a still life, it is a symbolic work expressing his emotions. The color yellow represents the energy and hope of the soul in his work, and the repetition of sunflowers symbolizes the beauty that can be found in the monotony of everyday life. Through this work, the artist must have praised the simple yet intense beauty of nature, and longed for a life that shines brightly and is full like a sunflower. Sunflower conveys lively and warm emotions. However, if you look closely, some of the sunflowers withering away, which metaphorically expresses transience and the flow of time. The coexistence of life and withering in the work represents the artist's heart that accepts the cycle of life and death and the laws of nature. This painting does not simply depict beautiful flowers, but shows the artist's attempt to find the hope and meaning of existence deep within. Through this work, the audience will be able to feel the cycle of life and nature and the preciousness contained within it. Emotional storytelling. On a warm midsummer afternoon, sunflowers raise their heads under the sunlight. Each petal is bathed in sunlight, and the center of the seed is deep and rich like the universe. The sunflowers, neatly gathered in a vase, convey warmth like a family, and are filled with life and love. However, if you look closely, not all flowers are in the same state. Some sunflowers shine with a vibrant golden color, while others have already bowed their heads and withered. This is part of the natural cycle that all living things experience, and it is beautiful in itself. The artist's gaze does not simply stop at the appearance of the flower. He discovers himself in every moment of our lives in the form of a sunflower. It makes us realize that just as flowers grow toward the light, we too must move toward hope. This work goes beyond the simple beauty of a sunflower, and speaks of the warmth and preciousness felt in the cycle of nature, humans, and life. The yellow in the painting is not just a color, but a presence like sunlight in our hearts as we dream and live.
Under golden light, soft voices speak. Warmth drifts across the terrace's peak. Footsteps skim the cobbled way at night, yet darkness flows with tender silent might. Beneath the stars, a hushed and tranquil street. Yellow lamps enfold hearts in warmth so sweet. Far down the road, where shadows cast their spell, solitude and comfort dance and dwell. Shadows trembling on the window pane. Lamplight bids the passing moments stay. From streets and drifts, whispers in the dark. The restless city pens its timeless arc. On table lie small laughters, fading glow, faint memories in lanterns light bestow. Even as I glance at midnight sky above, stars guide the way with ever quiet love. Beneath the lamps, a cup of solace warms. among the crowd, soft havens take their form, though night will pass. The lights that linger on shall dwell within our lives when dawn is gone.
Picture analysis. Color palette. The contrast of bright yellow and deep blue is the center, and the warm lights of the cafe shine in the darkness of the night. The orange and red tables on the street, and the green and black of the surrounding buildings naturally harmonize, capturing the vitality of the city. Texture. Under the lights of the cafe, the bright yellow walls convey a soft and warm texture, and the dense brushstrokes vividly express the brightness of the lights. On the other hand, the dark and deep night sky and the cobblestone road have rough textures, showing a strong contrast. Composition. The cafe, the street, and the sky form a triangular structure, drawing the gaze to the center. The tables and chairs on the terrace draw the viewer's gaze closer, and the characters and buildings in the distance create a sense of depth. The dark end of the street, contrasting with the warm lights of the cafe, adds a mysterious atmosphere to the work. Direction and intensity of light. Yellow lights softly illuminate the front of the cafe, the terrace, and the surrounding streets, creating a warm atmosphere. In contrast to the dark streets, the dispersion of light gives the painting a sense of center and stability. Time zone and season. Judging by the clear night sky with twinkling stars and the warm atmosphere of the cafe, it is estimated to be an early autumn or late summer evening. Painter's intention and emotion. Painter's intention. Van Gogh tried to capture the peace of the night and the vitality of the city at the same time in this work. The warm lighting of the cafe seems like a space that provides small comfort to isolated people, and the starlight of the night sky symbolizes the vast universe and adds a sense of mystery. The cafe terrace is not simply a place, but is expressed as a stage for life where people's meetings and daily lives are intertwined. The warmth of the cafe and the darkness at the end of the street contrast with each other, conveying the loneliness and warmth of modern society at the same time. Cafe terrace at night makes us feel a warm emotion where peace and vitality coexist. The stability of the lighting stands out even more in contrast to the darkness of the night, and the characters on the street stimulate our imagination as if they are telling intertwined stories. Emotional storytelling. The clear night sky is filled with stars, and the cobblestone streets quietly embrace the wind. On one side is a cafe terrace with warm yellow lights. People walking along the street naturally sit at tables and chat, and laughter quietly spreads out. A man standing outside the cafe looks at the scenery for a moment. The people sitting under the lights look happy. He hesitates a little and enters the terrace. In the warm lights, he feels a warmth he had long forgotten. Across the street is a dark street and people passing by quietly. The darkness is quiet, but the yellow lights of the cafe lighten the weight of the night. Perhaps the conversations and laughter that continue here are a moment when everyone briefly regains what they have lost. A cafe terrace is not simply a place where people stay. It is a place where each person's story meets, and a space that provides a brief resting place for lonely souls. When you look up at the night sky, the stars are watching this moment from afar. When the lights go out, everything may disappear, but the warmth of this night will remain in his memory for a long time. He finds something he had forgotten in a cup of coffee and conversation. The night deepens, but he still has many nights left.
Starlight dances on the river's face. Yellow lights enfold the city's space. In the hushed flow of night's gentle stream, sky and water mirror each other's gleam. Beneath bright stars, two lovers' hands entwine. Footprints riverside line. Warm rays seep into each wavering crest, softly responding to their whispered quest. Between the heavens and the river span, stars and city weave one in midnight's plan. Songs that shimmer on the liquid field feel a timeless moment softly revealed. Endless tales the stars in whisper share, quiet rhythms etched upon each wave's flare. River lights and skies, bright twinkling beam, cradle every breath of life's grand dream. Under the roan's night, peace softly blooms. The sky pours love in gentle plumes. The river cradles that warm, subtle glow, a hushed embrace where all hearts may flow.
Picture analysis. Color palette. A deep blue night sky surrounds the entire painting, contrasting with the twinkling yellow stars and city lights. The reflection of light on the river is expressed in soft gold and green, adding a calm yet warm atmosphere. Texture. Thick brushstrokes and wavy brushstrokes vividly depict the night sky and the flow of water. The reflection of light swaying on the calm river and the twinkling of starlight filling the sky convey a physical yet sensual texture. Composition. The star-filled sky, sparkling river, and lovers at the bottom of the screen form a triangle, adding depth to the painting. The sky, river, and city lights blend together to form a balanced composition, and the gaze naturally leads to the stars, water, and characters. Direction and intensity of light. Stars and city lights softly illuminate the river, creating a soft and romantic light effect. The intensity of the light is not excessive but naturally harmonized, emphasizing the overall calm and warmth. Time zone and season. Judging by the clear starry sky and the stillness of the river, it seems to depict an early autumn or late summer night. Painter's intention and emotion. Painter's intention. Starry Night over the Rhone is a work in which Van Gogh explored the relationship between nature and humans, and tried to emphasize the peacefulness of the night and the mystery of starlight. He connected the city lights and the starlight of nature as one, and captured the moment when humans and nature come together. The river water reflecting stars and lights blurs the boundary between reality and ideals, and reflects Van Gogh's inner emotions and transcendental experiences. The figure of the lovers symbolizes the small happiness of everyday life, making this moment feel more human. This work contains the stillness of the night and romantic peace. The warm emotion created by the intersection of starlight and city lights allows the audience to feel the beauty of the night sky and the stillness of the river at the same time. Emotional storytelling. In a deep and quiet night, stars twinkle above the waves of the Rhone River. The stars embroidered across the sky dance on the river with the city lights. The night is quiet, but there are countless stories flowing within it. The city lights seen in the distance hint at people's lives. The light leaking from the small windows contains each of their own stories, and the light connects with each other on the river to complete a single picture. The lovers walking along the river feel each other's warmth and share the peace of this night. Their footsteps resemble the rhythm of the slowly flowing river. When looking up at the sky, the starlight whispers endlessly. This moment is short, but it contains everything. The river holds the starlight, the sky embraces the lovers, and the city lights make this moment even brighter. Nature and humans, light and darkness, create harmony on this night. Under the stars of the Rhone River, this small moment will be remembered forever. There is a world there created by love, peace, stars and water.
I hope this was a beautiful painting, song, and explanation of the work. I loved color, not simply because it was beautiful, but because color most honestly expressed human emotions. The yellow of the sunflower was the warm hope I dreamed of. The gold of the wheat field was not grain, but a dignified life. The blue of the self-portrait was a mirror that showed the anxiety and deep inner self I experienced. The blue swirl of the starry night was the sound of the inner universe rippling. I wanted to draw feelings rather than exact shapes. I thought that there are many painters who portray reality as it is, but few painters who paint beyond it. So instead of distorting the colors of the world, I wanted to reinterpret them with my heart and paint them. Color was my language, and the brush was my breath. This time, I will tell you a song, endorsing about the paintings of the starry night, irises, and almond trees in bloom, that I painted during my time at the St. Remy Sanatorium.
Under a swirling sapphire night, starlight twirls in gentle grace, breaths of life in slumbering town, soft beams drifting through dreams' embrace. In the silent dark the trees confide, reaching upward toward the sky. Between hope's glow and shadowed fear, so seek where light and darkness lie. Moonlight wraps the world in hush, far off stars illuming roads untrod. A lonely heart beneath the heavens melts its solitude in cosmic nod. The spiral's turn knows no respite. Time drifts on in tender flow. At longing's edge, the distant stars compose the tales our hearts bestow. Whispers of wind upon the brush, where light and shadow dance as one. A tiny world in vast expanse sings with starlit canvas spun.
Painting analysis. Color palette. Deep cobalt blue and ultramarine blue form the background of the night sky, while the stars and moon, expressed in yellow and white, provide shining highlights. Small oranges and blacks contrast the city and trees, conveying warmth in the overall cool tone. Texture. Waving brushstrokes envelop the entire painting, adding movement and vitality. The sky and stars are painted in soft yet intense swirls, while the trees and town are expressed in rough, hard textures. Each element conveys a different feeling while remaining harmonious. Color, material analysis. The thick texture of the oil painting conveys intense and delicate emotions. Van Gogh's unique impasto technique maximizes the brightness of the stars and sky, creating a powerful visual and tactile effect. The contrast of colors suggests the conflict between light and darkness, hope and loneliness. Analysis of the artist's actions. The swirling brushstrokes toward the stars and sky reflect the artist's inner pain, energy, and yearning for freedom. The repetitive and violent movements seem to be an expression of his confusion and emotions, which are connected to his intention to explore the wonders of nature. Composition. The painting shows a strong presence of black cypress trees stretching vertically, leading the gaze to the sky. The diagonal swirls of the sky emphasize the overall harmony and movement, and the quiet appearance of the village supports the tranquility of the night. Direction and intensity of light. The moon and starlight are the main sources of light in the painting, illuminating the night sky while creating a natural contrast. The intensity of the light is exaggerated and unrealistic, but this can be interpreted as an expression of the artist's intention to maximize the mystery and wonder of nature. Time of day and season. The moon is high and the deep colors of the sky seem to express a deep night. The abundant leaves and clear sky remind us of an early summer night. Artist's intention and emotions. Artist's intention. In this work, Van Gogh expressed the conflict between personal suffering and hope. He tried to draw the free and vast universe through the sky, and emphasized the beauty of the sensory world even in his isolated life. The swirl of the sky expresses his mental confusion and his awe for nature at the same time. The contrast between the quietness of the village and the dynamic sky simultaneously shows the inner peace of man and the great energy of the external world. Van Gogh wanted to explore the emotions of life and death, hope and anxiety by merging the fear and stability he felt into one painting. Starry Night contains hope, awe, and solitude at the same time. The stars and moon shining under the dark night sky symbolize the small comfort that Van Gogh may have felt, and convey the resonance from deep within him. The tree seems to be a medium connecting the earth and sky, the human and the divine realm, and represents the artist's own longing. Van Gogh did not simply paint beautiful landscapes, but tried to visually convey the mental confusion and transcendent peace that he experienced. Through this work, he shows the smallness of man and the grandeur of the universe, and gives the audience the experience of looking at the world through his eyes. Emotional storytelling. In the deep night, the sky is open like a window to the vast universe. The wind quietly blows through the village, and people are asleep under the warm lights inside their houses. But the night sky does not sleep. Amid the swirling starlight, the moon shines softly as if embracing the whole world. Beneath it, a man sits by the window. He raises his head in the deep darkness and looks up at the sky. His heart beats with a mixture of loneliness and hope. He watches the dance of the stars and thinks, what is beyond this sky? Will the confusion I feel in this world ever end? The cypress tree stretches straight from the ground to the sky. It resembles the artist himself, who spreads his endless wings of imagination even in deep-rooted pain. The tree is imperfect but stands firm, and converses with the stars in the endlessly expanding sky. At this moment, the man in the painting becomes one with the sky. Hope blooms that perhaps pain can also become a moment that shines like a star. He picks up his brush again and begins to carve the world of his heart onto these stars. Picture analysis. Color palette. The intense yellow background and vase convey warmth and vitality, while the calm blue and green irises contrast with each other to capture attention. The harmony of yellow and blue creates a feeling of both vitality and tranquility. Texture. The petals and stems expressed with thick brushstrokes emphasize the unique texture of each iris. The soft curves and vivid details make the flowers feel as if they are swaying in the wind. Composition. The irises in the vase extend upward from the center of the canvas, filling the entire screen. Some flowers are drawn in a composition that seems to overflow from the screen, adding vitality and naturalness. The simplicity of the yellow background focuses more on the bouquet. Direction and intensity of light. The lighting is softly diffused, and in harmony with the brightness of the yellow background, the blue of the irises stands out. The intensity of the light is not strong, but softly creates a peaceful atmosphere in the room. Time zone and season. Iris is a flower that symbolizes spring, and this work contains the vitality that blooms in the warm season. Painter's intention and emotion. Painter's intention. Iris is Van Gogh's attempt to capture the vitality and beauty of nature on canvas. He did not simply paint flowers, but tried to express emotions and liveliness through color and form. The yellow background represents warm vitality, and the blue irises represent calm stability, and the two elements balance each other to convey harmonious emotions to the viewer. The irises in the vase seem to freely spread out, yet they are filled within the limited space. This shows the tension between freedom and restraint, and seems to reflect Van Gogh's own inner conflict. This work makes us feel the harmony of peace and life even in the intense colors. Iris is not just a flower, it symbolizes the vitality and transience of life, and reminds the viewer of moments in life. Emotional storytelling. In a room filled with yellow light, an iris in a vase is basking in the sunlight by the window. Even in a space without a single breath of wind, the petals are vivid as if they are swaying in the wind. A bouquet is not a simple decoration, but a piece of nature's gift. The warmth of the yellow background fills the space like the sunlight of dawn, and the blue petals cast a calm shadow over it. Each petal seems to have its own story. A flower that has begun to wither whispers the beauty of the past, and a flower that has just bloomed sings of a new beginning. All of those moments are contained here. In this room, the iris is not simply a space decoration. It is a small message that reminds us of the preciousness of life in a moment where time seems to have stopped. It gives a quiet emotion to those who look at it. No matter how quickly life passes, this bouquet of flowers exudes vitality even in a short moment. The iris, blending with the light in the room, silently whispers to us, at this moment, how precious life is.
Time spent within this yellow-lit room, blue petals blooming, silent repose, green stems reach free, a hushed song of life, soft whispers of spring the vase bestows. Fragrant breezes linger on each bloom, their scent a trace of wind in every fold. Blue dancers drift against the golden glow, as nature's tale in quiet brushstrokes told. Fading petals murmur in gentle tones, new blossoms cry aloud toward the light, moments entwined within time's flowing stream, hold all that breathes this place in calm delight.
small world gleams, iris unfurls dreams upon each bough. Traces of earth enfold this sacred air, stirring our hearts with stillness here and now. Stories etched between the sapphire blooms, stems and leaves proclaim each life's design. In their soft rising, hope we hear once more life's song of beauty, tender and divine.
Under the blue sky, my brush at hand, I carve life's melody on every branch. White petals bloom upon the canvas, softly whispering the stories of my heart. Following the branches curving sunlight, each stroke breathes my very soul. In trembling petals, fierce vitality, I strive to leave them eternal on cloth. The wind shakes the boughs, yet I press on. Each moment seems to live and breathe. Sky and tree guide my eager hand as I become one with nature's art. In my gaze, the flower is more than flower. The tree a symbol of life and hope, love and blessing held within each bristle, are reborn upon this painted world. With every stroke my passion blooms, flowers, sky and branches begin to sing. The world I've dreamed takes shape on canvas, quietly fulfilled by life's promise.
Picture analysis. Color palette. A clear and bright sky blue forms the background, and the flowers and branches of the almond tree are painted in warm white, light pink, and light green. The sky blue and the green of the branches harmonize with each other to convey both vitality and tranquility. The bright colors in soft contrast express the vitality of spring. Texture. Smooth and flowing brushstrokes emphasize the softness of the sky and branches. The details of the tree's curved branches and delicate petals create an organic and lively movement, and the delicate touch stands out instead of Van Gogh's characteristically strong brushstrokes. Composition. The entire screen is filled with tree branches, and the branches are not centered on the branches, but are arranged in a distributed form to create a natural balance. The composition, in which the branches seem to extend endlessly against the sky, provides a sense of space and freedom. Direction and intensity of light. The direct direction of the light is not expressed, but soft sunlight can be felt through the bright colors and transparency of the petals. The light is not intense, and its soft brightness adds vitality. Time zone and season. The almond tree is in full bloom and the warm color tone conveys the feeling of early spring. Painter's intention and emotion. Painter's intention. Almond Tree in Bloom is a work created by Van Gogh to celebrate the birth of his nephew. This work symbolizes life, hope, and a new beginning, and delivers a bright and positive message. Van Gogh used a simple and static composition inspired by Japanese woodblock prints, and emphasized the simplicity and beauty of nature. The branches reaching up to the sky express the growth and potential of life, and the almond blossoms symbolize the fragile yet strong vitality. The work contains Van Gogh's warm heart and love for his family. This work is bright and cheerful, full of hope and joy. The artist's heart that blesses life is revealed throughout the entire screen, conveying peace and the joy of a new beginning to the audience. Emotional storytelling. The spring breeze shakes the branches and blooms flower petals. Under the blue sky, the almond tree quietly stretches its branches toward the sky. At the tip of each tree, white petals bloom, signaling the beginning of new life. The wind embraces the flowers, whispering hope. This tree is not simply a part of nature. It celebrates life and holds the promise of fragile but strong growth. Each petal at the tip of each branch blooms with new possibilities. The sky opens up infinite space as its background, and the branches grow endlessly toward the sky. This quiet scene is filled with warm hearts and messages of hope. Blossoming Almond Tree is not simply a painting of spring. It is a work that celebrates new life and contains faith and love for the future we have.
I would like to thank all of you who have appreciated and understood me and my paintings through stories, songs, and explanations about my life and paintings. Finally, I will end today's concert with a story about my brother Theo. My brother Theo was not just a family member. He was my sponsor, my friend, my counselor, and all the letters I sent out to the world. I expressed my thoughts and feelings through hundreds of letters, and those letters existed like a pair of wings with my paintings. Theo, I painted today too. It's okay if this world doesn't recognize me. I'm still painting the truth. To Theo, paintings were not just works of art, but my diary and autobiography. If he hadn't been there, my paintings wouldn't have existed. Every letter I sent to Theo was also a promise to myself. Theo, you were my only audience in my love. I love you. This time, we will listen to a song and docent talk about the painting of the wheat field, with crows and the last painting of the tree roots, which was painted during the time of Auvers-sur-Oise, the last settlement.
Wheat fields ripple in waves of gold. The wind slips through with whispered refrain. At the endless road's far-flung hold, crows dance in shadows of the plain. The sky is washed in deepest blue. Clouds drift aimless, lost from grace. At the crossroads paused my heart anew, quivers uncertain where to place. Between each fluttered wing beats song, blackbirds sketch their art on high. The path ahead seems cleft and long. Time flows on with no reply. Life's traces stir in quivering grain. Each dawn must follow dusk's descent. Even halted steps contain.
Painting analysis. Color palette. A bright and rich golden wheat field takes up most of the canvas, and the sky above is contrasted with a deep and dark cobalt blue. Reddish browns and greens gently weave the road and the wheat field, while the black crows create a strong contrast in the darkness of the sky. Texture. The rough brushstrokes and thick impasto technique vividly convey the texture of the wheat field and the movement of the wind. The wheat gives a dynamic feeling as if it is swaying in the wind, and the sky expresses a swirling emotion. The crows are drawn quickly, adding a sense of liveliness and anxiety. Composition. The red dirt road in the center guides the viewer's eyes deep into the painting, dividing the screen into 3 sections to provide tension and direction. The placement of the crows balances the border between the sky and the wheat field, emphasizing the sense of danger. Direction and intensity of light. The light is uneven and spreads unsteadily, creating an overall dramatic effect. The wheat field is brightly lit, but the darkness of the sky creates a strong contrast, suggesting an atmosphere of conflict. Time zone and season. Judging by the rich wheat fields and dark sky, it seems to express a late summer afternoon. The ever-changing sky of the landscape reminds us of the chaotic weather before sunset. Painter's intention and emotion. Painter's intention. Wheat Field with Crows is interpreted as a work containing Van Gogh's inner agony and his complex emotions about life. The wheat fields symbolize abundance and life, while the dark sky and crows imply anxiety and death, and the two conflicting emotions are intensely expressed. The central path ends ambiguously, representing the wandering of life without a destination. This seems to reflect the artist's uncertain future and inner isolation. The black crow represents his emotions on the border between life and death, and adds to the tension hovering between the sky and the wheat fields. This work simultaneously conveys intense vitality and anxiety. The abundance of the wheat fields symbolizes the beauty and abundance of life, while the dark sky and crows imply the end and anxiety. In this work, Van Gogh expressed the boundaries of life and death, hope and fear, and expressed his inner confusion and loneliness on the canvas. Emotional storytelling. A late summer afternoon, the wind blows over the wheat fields. The golden fields sway and sing a song of life, and the road continues endlessly somewhere. However, the sky is dark, and the crows fly low, creating tension. A man stands at the edge of the field and looks at the road that continues into the distance. He cannot tell what lies at the end of the road. The wheat fields sway abundantly, but the cries of the crows instill anxiety and confusion in his heart. He tries to walk, but the fact that he cannot tell where the road ends holds him back. Even in the gentle movement of the wheat fields, he feels the dark energy of the sky. It seems as if it is trying to swallow him up. A gust of wind passes by, and crows fly up. The tension flowing between the wheat fields and the sky asks him a question. Where does life go? What choices should I make? In the end, he cannot see the end of the road, but he takes a step. The sky where the crow flew opens up little by little, and the wheat field is filled with sunlight again. A small hope sprouts inside him. Even amidst the anxiety and wandering of life, he walks the road.
My roots reach high into the sky. Though hidden deep, they never die. The winds may shake, but still I stand, with strength more solid than the land. Leaves may fall, but spring returns, and in the dark, my fire burns. Like roots that search beneath the ground, I rise again where hope is found. The places where I fell before now shape the soul I can't ignore. Even in the soil now that's torn, new life will quietly be born. A single light can lead the way when all the paths seem far and gray. Time beneath the earth was slow, but I was learning how to grow. Though I may move
patient pace. These roots still push me into space. The road may twist, the night may fall, but I will rise and stand up tall. A mighty tree begins so small, with silent dreams and strength to crown. Like roots that search beneath the ground, I rise again where hope is found. The places where I fell before now shape the soul I can't ignore. Even in the soil that's torn, new life will quietly be born. A single light can lead the way when all the past seem far and gray. Time beneath the earth was slow, but I was learning how to grow. Like roots that search beneath the ground, I rise again where hope is found. The places where I fell before now shape the soul I can't ignore. Even in the soil that's torn, new life will quietly be born. A single light can lead the way when all the paths seem far and gray. Time beneath the earth was slow, but I was learning how to grow.
Tree roots. Analysis of the painting. Color palette. Bright blue and purple make up the roots and trunk, while the background is composed of earthy tones of tan, yellow, and reddish-brown. The leaves are depicted in vivid lime and green, creating a contrasting color tone. Texture. The brush strokes are short, strong, and rough. The thick layers of paint evoke a strong tactile sensation, giving the surface strength and energy. Color, material analysis. The texture unique to oil painting is alive, and Van Gogh's characteristic impasto technique stands out. The colors go beyond simple reproduction to express the imagery of emotions, and each line feels urgent. Analysis of the artist's actions. The brush strokes are very intentional and intense. The repetitive and rhythmic movements show inner turmoil, desperation, and persistent immersion in existence, projecting oneself into the object of nature. Composition. The roots and tree trunks that fill the entire screen are intertwined as if they were one organism, without a separate compositional center. The viewpoint is low and close, so the viewer is as if looking at this scene from close to the ground. The focus is on the rhythm of the whole rather than a specific object. Direction and intensity of light. The light is diffused throughout rather than in a specific direction, and is expressed through color contrast rather than strong light and shade. This is closer to a mental illumination than a physical effect of light. Time of day and season. Judging from the green trees, bright background, and green leaves, it is estimated to be a midday scene between late spring and summer. However, this time can be read as a psychological season rather than a physical season, the artist's inner season at the end of his life. The artist's intention and emotions. This work was painted during the last period of Van Gogh's life, and it allows him to express his emotions through the language of painting at a point where the boundaries of reality collapse. The roots of the tree are not simply a plant structure, but symbolize the pain of life intertwined with the source of existence. In this painting, Van Gogh did not depict nature as a single structural order. Rather, the tree roots are entangled like a skein of emotions writhing underground. Anxiety, obsession with life, and psychological cracks live and breathe in these lines, and the artist tried to fill the gap between himself and the world through his brush. The colors are symbolic. The blue roots symbolize despair and loneliness, as well as the chain of life, and the yellowish color of the background symbolizes the reality in which the pain lies. The brush strokes flow without rules, but they are condensed with absolute truth and emotional density. Through this work, Van Gogh seems to have left behind the words "I am still" rooted in visual language at the end of his life. He painfully and beautifully reveals the fragility and strength of human existence, isolation and connection, and the point where death and life meet. Emotional storytelling. One summer day, the world was quietly catching its breath. The ground was hot, and the roots of the trees were entangled in it, pulling up life. No one knew how these roots had grown. They simply silently remembered where they had come from. In the painting, the tree does not speak. But the roots silently cry out, "I have lived. I am here." In order not to fall down in the strong wind, in order to go up to the sky in search of light, they fought all the battles below, unseen. And there was a painter who looked at those roots. He planted his heart in them. He captured the lonely times, the abandoned spaces, and the instinct for life that was stirring even within them. Through the painting, he said, "We live most fiercely in places that are unseen." This painting is not the story of the tree. It is our story. It is a portrait of all the hearts that try to grow again even after falling, all the souls that endure underground and yearn for the sky.
So far, I have told you about my life, story and music and docent about my paintings. Did you enjoy it and have a good time? I also met you all through AI Art Cinema, and had a very enjoyable and happy time together. Finally, I will say goodbye while listening to my theme song, Love Blossomed Under the Stars. I hope to see you again at a new art cinemat, and thank you for joining me.
Under the starlit night sky, so deep, your gentle heart, soft currents sweep. Silent scenes you sketch from out the pain, worn hues that wrap the world again. On fields of gold, the dancing wheat, born on breezes where hope and winds meet. An iris's smile at your fingertips blooms, a sunflower reflecting the sunlit rooms. Now I know what you long to import. You love the world in silence from the heart. With quiet strokes you spoke of dreams, harboring tender faith no one had seen. Softly yet steadfast to the end. Upon a canvas filled with starry glow, the swirling sky begins to show a gentle smile, and every hue you left behind becomes today a beacon in our mind. In moments when your painting paused, time's race, the world held its breath in that tranquil space. Our quiet hearts following your gentle trace, learn once again to find our grace. Now I feel what you wished to convey, that love remains in silence yet holds sway. Though once the world knew not your light, we now abide within that love tonight. And here we stand before your art's embrace. Your love has reached us, Vincent. Under the starlit night sky, so deep, your gentle heart, soft currents sweep. Silent scenes you sketch from out the pain, worn hues that wrap the world again. On fields of gold, the dancing wheat, born on breezes where hope and winds meet. An iris's smile at your fingertips blooms, a sunflower reflecting the sunlit rooms. Now I know what you long to from the heart. With quiet strokes, you spoke of dreams harboring tender faith no one had seen. Softly, yet steadfast to the end. Upon a canvas filled with starry glow, the swirling sky begins to show a gentle smile, and every hue you left behind becomes today a beacon in our mind. In moments when your painting paused time's race, the world held its breath in that tranquil space. Our quiet hearts following your gentle trace learn once again to find our grace. Now I feel what you wished to convey, that love remains in silence yet holds sway. Though once the world knew not your light, we now abide within that love tonight. And here we stand before your art's embrace. Your love has reached us.